Hi, my name is Trevor Smith. Welcome to Full Burn, where we kick some tires, light some fires, and interview awesome space and defense founders. Today, I am with Scott Macklin of Gravitics. Scott, where are we today?
Today we are at our Washington facility here at Gravitics.
It is a lovely Washington day.
It is, all days are like this here in Washington.
We have a special treat for the audience. Maybe you could tell them where our first stop.
Yeah, our first stop, we're going to be actually taking this Lamborghini into the facility and driving. Nothing I said matters.
It's good we're in an open, empty parking lot. I told you this is the most fun car I've ever driven.
That's saying a lot because you've done some cool ones already.
I have, yeah.
This takes it for you.
Back to what you were talking about. I interrupted you, sorry.
All good. We're headed inside our beautiful Washington facility where we build spacecraft. And we're going to take it inside our full-scale mock-up to give a sense of scale of both of these vehicles.
So the mock-up is a station on space.
Yeah, it represents some of the kind of larger near-term capabilities that we have, building out space station modules and other large vehicles. It's an 8-meter diameter, basically fills out the capability of Starship.
And we are in the warehouse now.
We are.
I'm going to try not to hit any space stations.
I can confidently tell you this is the first Lamborghini inside our facility.
I've never said that as I've driven a car. Oh, this is fun. I know, so Elon did something similar to what we are doing here, but he put a Tesla Roadster.
I think, in fairness to him, that one did go into orbit. I don't think our insurance claims would be happy if we sent that
not at all. And nothing against the Tesla Roadster, but this Lamborghini Huracán EVO all-wheel drive V10 monster is so much fun, as you just saw.
Yeah.
We're back.
We're back inside the mock-up.
Maybe the most epic space startup photo shoot ever. Thank you for that. Oh my God. We're, hey Lamborghini, if you're listening, I think there's a photo opportunity here, for sure.
I think it's time you get into lunar rover business.
Yes, lunar rover, because who doesn't want a super fast, turboed, all-wheel drive lunar rover?
What could go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? All right, so tell me a little bit about Scott Macklin. Who is Scott Macklin? And then we'll talk about Gravitics.
All right,
as we make our way out of the warehouse here.
Okay. I'm Scott Macklin, currently CTO at Gravitics. We're a startup that's building really important infrastructure for LEO and beyond, building some large structures for a variety of applications for our commercial partners and the Department of Defense.
Where'd you go to school?
Yeah, so, originally from Nebraska, so I'm Midwest. I think you might be as well.
I grew up in Northwest Mississippi.
Mississippi.
As the Mississippians say.
Mississippi, yeah. So I'm Nebraska. Grew up there, came out to LA for college, studied astronautical engineering, aerospace engineering, got my bachelor's at USC, did a lot of fun projects. USC Rocket Lab, first student group to get into space was something students designed and built.
Oh, wow.
And worked some electric propulsion projects for the Air Force Research Lab. Got to work on a spacecraft in Japan even and delayed my graduation for it.
A spacecraft, was that, what spacecraft was that?
It was an experimental 27U CubeSat called HORU-2, and it was developing some experimental high voltage operating power for spacecraft and measuring spacecraft arcing on that. High voltage solar array and looking at mitigation methods. So it's really an environmental orbit lab, and so they were developing within their specialty, but they had relatively little mechanical engineering experience, and so I got to go join and work on some of the thermal system for that, and that was just a great experience. But worked through college. And then my first full-time job was at SpaceX.
Okay.
Started in propulsion production there, working on Merlin 1D.
Oh, fun.
Propulsion.
So were you with Tom Mueller?
Worked for him.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And really enjoyed that. Started, because I'm a glutton for punishment, I started my master's.
Oh, sorry, pause.
Yeah.
I see a giant mountain. Is that Mount Rainier?
That's not Rainier.
Oh.
You're going to see Rainier
Oh, there's
off
a
this
bunch
way.
of them. Okay.
But I mean, this is what's awesome about working here. My drive in, every single day you see snowy Mount Adams to the north, Rainier in your rearview mirror down that way.
Yeah.
The Cascades to your right over here, and the Olympics
Wow.
off to the west. And you drive through that valley and you see them in every direction.
That's beautiful.
We work here, but then 30 minutes away, you're at the trailheads for the Cascades.
Go hiking, biking,
Incredible.
all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so back to
Right.
Merlin, SpaceX.
Yeah, so started working at SpaceX. Also started my master's degree while I was working full-time at SpaceX. That was an enjoyable moment of my life I never want to do again. And
at SpaceX and
I
doing
was
a
working
master's.
full-time at SpaceX.
I heard that you worked like 180 hours a week, and then you had to do school.
Yeah, it was,
Pretty much.
it was a fun time. That's probably where my addiction to coffee really began in earnest. So I had a great time there, though. I was at SpaceX for not a super long while, about a year, was really enjoying every moment of it. And I was there for the 2012 launch, the first Dragon birthing to ISS.
Wow.
And it was so cool to be a part of that.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit screwed up inside because
How's that?
because when that happened, we're all celebrating and cheering, and this weird kind of moment came on for me where I was like, I think I'm at the wrong place. Because not the wrong place, but this place is clearly going to be a raging success.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. We need that, but we need lots of that in the industry.
Yeah.
And so I kind of, I always enjoy kind of working for the underdog and working up through it. When I was in college, when I was in undergrad, and first became aware of SpaceX and what they were taking on, they were the underdog that was going to go, bring about a more, cost-effective, access to space, and we need that. I was all in on that mission. But we need every step of that mission sequence. We need every step of that mission sequence cost to come down.
Yep.
And so, step one was anyone, please prove that you can do it. SpaceX did amazing. And here's a startup that's building their own engines, building their own rockets, building their own spacecraft, and going to station. Very incredible. They had already dropped the cost to orbit. The next step is showing that there's competition, because as amazing as SpaceX is and drives it down, they themselves will need competition to have,
a driving ecosystem.
A driving need to keep competitive. And so, for me, step, like kind of like a, arcing philosophical level, right? Step one to expanding what we can do in space is getting any commercial entity, into space. That was SpaceX. Step two was bringing competition to launch.
Yeah.
We needed that. The industry needed that. And that was the thinking that led me to what became Virgin Orbit next.
Okay.
When I joined...
So SpaceX then to Virgin
Yep.
Orbit? Okay.
At the time, it was still Virgin Galactic. It was this dinky little advanced concept office in Virgin Galactic for the early concept of an orbital launch vehicle.
Did you get to hang out with Sir Richard Branson?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, several
Nice.
times. Yeah. He's a good guy. He's very, very chill.
I've heard good things.
Yeah. So, went there. As cliche as it is, it's fun but true. I basically inherited the first requirement for the first liquid rocket engine at what became Virgin Orbit.
And how old were you?
Oh, I was 23 or something. I had no business receiving that kind of responsibility.
Ridiculous.
And, that was just such a good opportunity for me. There's a lot of ways I can talk about why I went from SpaceX to Virgin and why Virgin to now Gravitics.
Yep.
There's a lot of ways I can talk about it. A lot of it is motivated by learning. There's no doubt there's, even to this day, amazing organizational learning to be had at SpaceX. Everyone talks about it ad nauseum, we understand that. But for a 23-year-old to go from working on maybe the third iteration of the Merlin engine, which is incredible, and working on mechanical components for that, to an architecture that you inherited, to go from that as a 23-year-old to here's your first requirement for the engine, I asked, what's the specific impulse, nerdy term there? And they asked, what's that?
What does specific impulse mean for the audience?
Think of it as miles per gallon for a rocket engine.
Yeah.
So I inherited a thrust target. Then I asked what the efficiency target is. And they said, let's figure that out, right?
Yeah.
That's the state that we were at. And so to get to go inherit that great responsibility, lay out an architecture, lay out schematics, start to think through what is a development roadmap to get to an end product, that was just incredible learning.
What an opportunity.
Yeah, super cool. Don't regret that for a moment. So, began as a responsible engineer for the first stage engine. Over time, my responsibilities grew as the company grew, and ultimately led the propulsion organization and a lot of the aspects of the flight launch and test site as well toward the end. And got to go through an entire product lifecycle, program lifecycle, from first schematic to 4 orbital launches with real customers on board going to orbit.
Wow. And so from when you started to like when you were taking customers to orbit, how long was that?
Sorry, say it one more time.
The time frame from when you started at Virgin Orbit and then taking customers in and taking them up. What was that timeline?
First orbital launch would have been probably about 8 years.
Okay, so you were there for a while.
I was there for a while. There was no way I was leaving before, seeing real flight data return. There's, probably took longer than I would have liked, but there was a lot of evolution in the early years to, are we going to spin this off as its own product or not? So there was some soul searching, through some of those early years. When we really got into our stride and took on, early development work at Virgin Orbit, it was blazing fast at the subsystem level. The thing that a lot of people wouldn't appreciate is that system was basically all the complexity of a human-rated system without the glory of flying astronauts. What I mean by that, we had an orbital launch vehicle that was attached to the wing of a modified Boeing 737.
Right.
We had pilots and crew on board that 737 that actually flew this rocket out to the drop point over the Pacific Ocean and then launched. And there were cryogenic propellants on board the vehicle. So rightfully so, when it came time to pull all those integration threads together and get into, full system integrated test, captive carry flights of this rocket on the vehicle, that's when we slowed down, in a good way, because we had every contingency plan, abort scenario, return to base scenario mapped out to keep that crew safe before we ever took off. Something I'm so proud of, and basically a decade at Virgin Orbit, was responsible for large aspects of hazardous testing, even, some flight ops and
hazardous
zero
testing
injuries.
Sounds fun.
It is
that
fun.
Sounds fun.
It is fun.
Well, I'll ask you a few questions about that in a minute.
Okay.
So Virgin Orbit, and then talk to me about, because you are a founder of Gravitics?
No, I guess I snuck in on your podcast.
Because I interviewed Sandeep.
Okay.
And he came along a little later.
That's true.
Right.
He and I were both some early hires, but technically not founding team.
Gotcha. So what was that day like? I'm assuming Colin called you, the CEO, and you get a phone call, and like walk us through what that day looked like, and how did he convince you to join this crazy idea of Gravitics? Maybe there's a good story there.
Yeah, actually the funny starting point of this is I knew I was leaving Virgin Orbit for kind of the similar reasons I left SpaceX, right? I left SpaceX because we knew that it was going to be successful, and now there needed to be launch vehicle competition, right? Sad day, Virgin Orbit folded, but the actual objective was met. If you look at it as kind of like a bigger picture, there are today 4 or 5 credible launch vehicle companies, right? Several more that are on the way. Not all of them will pan out. Some things will change and evolve, but you've got credible businesses that are competing on launch, and we fundamentally need that.
Yeah.
That
so
was
you're
around
like, box check.
Yeah. Right. My underlying motivation in my career, at the personal level, it's very much driven by personal learning and personal challenge, but at kind of the ecosystem or cheesy philosophical level, right? I want to be involved in every inhibit to, like proliferation through space.
Oh,
right?
okay, yeah.
And
Well, this is a pretty logical next step.
it's a
where we're
logical
going.
next step,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So box checked on commercial launch, box checked on competition in it,
Yeah.
right? And so then I kind of pulled my head out of the sand. I was very focused on just getting, Launcher 1 into orbit. But in the back of my mind, I was starting to think about, okay, for the first decade of my career, I've been hyper-focused on launch. What really does come next?
Yeah.
Right? What is needed to have that sci-fi future we all dream about?
What do we do when we get there?
Yeah.
Right? Like, meaning, hey, we've got launch figured out. Now that we can get to space, what do we do with that?
Yeah.
Not just for scientific purposes, but like, how do we create an ecosystem, an industry that is self-sustaining? Is that what you're asking yourself?
Exactly right. So, I actually gave my management at Virgin Orbit about a 1-year notice that I was leaving.
Well, that was very nice of you.
It was. Some would say that's not a smart strategy for promotions and all that. But I don't care, right?
Yeah.
Set up a 1-year kind of time frame, and wanted to see for several missions. Wanted to see my proudest moment was actually the 4th launch, because I took backseat shadow role to a lot of the managers on the team. They really drove.
Oh, so you got
and
to
it was so
pass
great.
the torch.
It was so great. So then the day came when I announced to my team that I was leaving, and it was.
But not for 12 months.
Well, no. I mean, when the time came, really, I'm leaving, right?
Yeah.
I announced it to the wider team, and it was such a weird. It was a weird sensation, because I hold this all hands, and the meeting ends, and I pull out my phone and start checking it, and I'm actually getting buzzed by recruiters from other companies.
Like, as you just left the meeting.
How the hell do they know
How
this?
did it go that fast?
And
wow.
So I started, I wanted to take time, took a few months, because really my background is propulsion and launch. That's what I knew. And, we think about the launch, the space ecosystem, and it's all space, right? Well, there's many, many, many different niches within there and specialities. And I knew relatively little about spacecraft. And so I wanted to start thinking about what happens when we get into orbit, and just had a fun summer thinking through some of the key next challenges that will be needed.
So I had a question.
Sure.
You sort of gave your internal team a 12 months heads up. Had you spoken to? Did you know where you were going to go, or you were like, "Hey, I just want to figure this out"? And
no,
yeah, okay.
I mean, the jobs we do are all consuming. I could not give. I know this sounds cheesy, but I could not give the attention that my team deserves if I was actually working on the next thing or thinking about it.
So you cut off without knowing exactly where you were going to go, which leads to Colin.
Leads to a summer of exploring a lot of cool companies out there.
Yeah.
Talking to a lot of founders. Toyed with the idea of founding something myself, but that wasn't the end goal for me. The end goal was working on something that matters.
Yeah.
And if someone else out there is already doing it, rock on.
Jump on. Yeah.
So, I was looking at the things that I thought mattered. Low cost but safe in-space habitats, in-space resource utilization, in-space manufacturing, nuclear thermal propulsion, right? All these things that will matter, to weave all of this together. And a couple things happened. I was toying around with a few very cool companies out there on some of those threads I just touched on. And then Tarek,
Taiwan.
He's our lead investor. He got introduced to me through another investor, and he introduced me to Colin.
Okay.
He said, "Hey, you ought to talk to Colin." And
so didn't he also recruit Sandeep? Sounds like
he did.
He's
Tarek's done well.
He's recruiting you guys. Okay.
Tarek's done well.
Shout out, bud. Taiwan Ventures.
I know. They have been incredibly supportive of us. So really grateful for that. They believe in the vision, right? Yeah. That matters just as much as the money flowing in, right?
Yeah.
Are you aligned with the vision and what you're working toward? They've been great partners. So I got introduced to Colin. He started talking to me about the long-term vision of the company, right? You know, our company is called Gravitics.
And you didn't know him
I did not know
at
him.
all. You'd
Yeah.
never heard of him?
Took a leap by, you
Okay,
know, like
got it.
not a founder, but early team, you
Yeah,
know, like
yeah.
it's kind of nice to join a founding team that you know.
Yeah,
So it's a
yeah.
little bit of a leap of faith there.
Right.
But anyway, I was impressed by Colin for a couple of reasons. At this point, I had talked to about 20 different founders and CEOs that, you know, for places I was considering, ranging from relatively large, well-established companies to folks just out of their Series A to earlier founding team, you know, kind of all across the range. And I was impressed by Colin's vision for the company future, right? The flag planted on the horizon,
Yep.
recognizing that if, you know, we want, you know, long-term, productive and healthy stay in space, we need spin gravity, right?
Yeah.
That's an exciting vision to rally behind.
Hey, sorry.
Yeah.
Explain spin gravity for people who are listening and aren't aware of what that is.
You go up into orbit, and typically you're in microgravity, you know, you're in free fall. That is a ton of fun. I can't wait for the day that I get to go do that.
I'm so excited.
But the reality is, if you're going to truly go expand humanity, you know, off-world, and you're going to be up there for a long time, it wreaks havoc on the body if you're just constantly in zero G, you know, for a year on.
Yeah.
And so,
Plenty of astronaut examples.
yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. So, go take a large structure, actually begin to spin it, you know, in orbit
Like a flywheel.
like a flywheel.
Okay.
And then that centripetal acceleration is basically kind of holding you against
Like
the
the
wall. Think of
carnival ride. Yeah, you're like on the wall and you fly up. Yeah.
You know, same basic principle, and that will mean a lot to what we can really do up there, you know, again, productively and safely, you know, for the long haul.
Yeah.
So that's an exciting vision to rally behind. But, you know, every company out there has exciting visions and can talk about all the great things they're going to go do on step 20. What really impressed me about Colin was that I saw more of a kind of thoughtful product roadmap in him as a CEO and founder than I did with a lot of other companies.
Yeah.
There was an incremental step along the way. I saw more creative kind of thinking on the business of the product that he'd be making, with kind of like some dualities of how we use the modules in kind of multiple ways with the customer, so that you can be amortizing the costs of this, you know, capital intensive venture. Yeah, he had a good story. He had a good, you know, a good vision and a good pathway. And it was intriguing. And, you know, so to be totally honest, the first time I heard Gravitics, I kind of like said, oh, okay, sure, let's see where this goes, you know, like spin gravity, won't that be cool? You know, I agree, but, you know, we have a very brittle economy and there's a lot that has to happen before we get to that point, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then I got on the phone with him and was really impressed by the roadmap toward that visionary flag planted. The other thing that kept me talking to him is, you know, I'm not sure I'm not sure I've met like a founder CEO who is as driven and passionate about the product he's making, but also just like a good human being.
Yeah,
That's kind of a rare
Yes.
a rare combination
That's
out there.
tough to find.
And so, you know, I'm a leader in the organization. I lead kind of by headcount the majority of the team, you know, and that'll be true as we continue to scale. I'm going to have to do hard things with and to my team. All the better that at least I'm very well aligned with my CEO.
Right.
Right. So there's a good culture fit. There's a good vision that matters for humanity, and there was a more pragmatic approach to the early steps than I saw with some of the other kind of early roadmaps that were out there. So I was hooked.
There we go.
And then we took some turns, just like this.
Man, good road here.
This is nice.
Sorry, I had to take it. It was too tempting.
I would be disappointed if you had it.
Yeah. So he convinced you. and you came on the team. And what was and maybe it was the moment that you signed on, but was there like a day or a milestone where you were like, man, this is going to be a thing. This is going to be a real company. We're going to make it. This is going to change the world. Was there like an early day, or had that already like occurred when you said yes to come on the company? Or was it when you landed the Axiom deal?
That's definitely coming to mind. We'll talk about that. With no offense intended at all, that day hadn't come prior to me joining.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm out there to like work the hard things that are more likely to fail than succeed. But if they work, it matters.
Outlier outcomes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew that I would do well at SpaceX if I stayed, and I knew that I would be loving every minute of it. Pile more work on me, I'm even happier, right? Like I thrive in that environment. But I also knew that they had no shortage of great people that were going to get the job done.
Right.
And there are other things that also have to be solved, right? Like that's kind of the drive that keeps pulling me to the next thing. So, I knew that there was, an intriguing vision and kind of a pragmatic roadmap, and isn't that great? And a good CEO and a good human being, all cool. But that's still all on paper, and there's a lot to go do.
Great pitch deck. Great.
Right.
Yeah, let's go make it happen.
Yeah.
No more renderings. When does this become not rendering?
Yeah. So, for my part personally, I had done rockets. It's time to go learn in spacecraft. I knew that there would be a significant period of me personally learning up to bring to the table what I need to bring to the table on the technology and systems. I knew what they were looking for in me was, a good development engineer mindset, from my learnings, honestly, in some ways, spacecraft are kind of catching up to what new space launch vehicles have figured out.
Right.
There are exceptions to that, but, so I knew there were things I was bringing to the table. I also knew that I had a period of self-learning, in there, so I'd have to go figure all this out, with the team. To your question, I started to see, pockets and glimmers as we were working through really our seed stage focus.
Yeah.
So there's a lot wrapped up in there. You probably hear this all the time, but focus is one of the hardest and most important things for any company, let alone a startup.
Yeah.
I have seen other organizations have a crisis of priorities, right? And for a startup, every single decision you make in a day, and you're probably making 20 of consequence,
can change the trajectory of the company.
You won't even know you're making one at the time, and if you get it wrong, the company's dead in a month, right? Like, there's so many things that matter, and so you have to be so focused on what matters. I've seen some companies do it really well. I've seen more of them not do it well. And in these early discussions with the leadership team at Gravitics, I was starting to see really good focus on the focus. And this is too fun.
Keep going. Carry on.
No. I want to drive. Okay.
Thank God for all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
That would have been a little hairy with a two-wheel drive.
So I liked that we had a clear focus on, we have X amount of money for our seed. What do we want to be the outcome of it? And we set out what we were going to do. And then I started seeing us hit what we said we'd do when we said we'd hit it.
Yeah.
And the amount we said we'd do it. And
wow.
Honestly, that was kind of a novel experience to me from prior companies, right? Like,
well, you brought up, we were talking in the warehouse today. How many employees do you have?
We are at 26. We had 2 interns start this week, so we're a whopping 28.
And the revenue per capita, insane.
It's incredible.
Insane.
It is incredible.
What does that mean? Like, how did you get there? It's because the team. You talked about your team.
Yeah.
High execution team.
There's so much I can talk to about it. I love my team.
Have you done the revenue per head count? Can you share it?
Do I have to do mental math while we're driving in a Lamborghini?
Rough math.
Let's see. Well,
it's up there.
So we have what I can share publicly, we have a $125 million purchase order from Axiom.
Right.
You know about that one.
Go see the Sandeep episode if you want details.
That's great. I was there with him in Como when we signed, and that was a remarkable moment for our company history. But so that's public. We of course won this very competitive $60 million Strat 5 from the Space Force. Yeah. Wonderful. If we just touch on those two, speaking in very rough numbers with the size of the team we had at the time, that's about 10 million per person.
Woo!
Not bad.
Are you running a software company?
Actually, that's funny.
No, sorry. Are you running a Bitcoin company? That's what that is. Good God. I really hope
that is fun.
Wow. This is the most fun car I've driven. I'm having so much fun. We're gonna put you in the hot seat in the parking lot because I don't know if the emails got accepted, but we'll work it out.
Okay. Yeah. What could go wrong?
What could go
wrong? The team is incredible.
Yeah. All right.
I'm so proud to work with this team.
I can see it in your face.
This team is incredible. I have honestly. I've worked with incredible people in all of my teams, and grateful for all of those. But just the talent density, the actual useful productivity, the actual outcomes from a team of 20 is unlike anything I've seen.
Incredible. I mean, that's incredible. It's impressive.
Thank you.
We're on the latter half of our interview, so let's enter into the tinfoil hat conspiracy hot take.
Oh, the hot takes.
All right. Have you or anyone you know been visited by an alien or seen anything that looks extraterrestrial technology? Or do you have a probe in you right now?
I mean, I worked for Elon.
So is he an alien? There's rumors.
Rumors abound. Okay, have I been visited by an alien? No.
Okay, check.
Do I believe there's intelligent life out there? I'm kind of a I don't know. I'm a pretty even keel guy when it comes to things like this.
Yeah.
Show me it, and there it is. Or I'll say it differently.
Show me it, and there it is. Wow. Well said. Very eloquent.
Thank you, man. Yeah. Hey, I'm here for you.
That's great. I'll be here all day.
No, I'll say it this way. The day we get indisputable proof that there is intelligent alien life, honestly, I won't be surprised. It will be a momentous day, but it won't be surprising.
You think it's out there.
Oh, it's...
Right, we just haven't been able to prove it.
I think it's more likely than not that it's out there.
Yeah.
But I am kind of odd like that. I think it's irrelevant until the day, this external stimulus, changes things.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's the biasness of the people I've interviewed so far, because they're all space people. Everybody thinks there's intelligent life somewhere out there, just based on the sheer odds.
Oh yeah, it's a statistics game. But
so what technology from science fiction would you love to pull forward into today?
Well, that's easy, right? Warp drive. Right?
Warp drive.
How lonely.
So Jeff Thornburg said.
Well,
obviously.
Not surprised. Yeah. Respect. How lonely is it that there's all this incredible, there are these worlds out there that we will never get to see in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Like the best adjective or the best word I have for it is, it evokes like a sense of loneliness.
Right.
You want to get out there and see that. Like I've always been driven by exploration. Like down this road right now.
Woo! We bottomed out the car on that one.
We'll edit that part out. For the rental company that's watching this podcast.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. So warp drive. Got it. So Sandeep had a story, and this is a question. Is there a crazy story about how you either saved a program or landed a deal? Like you rented a Lamborghini and you convinced Tarek from Type 1 to write you a check, but something crazy to like close a deal or save a program. And it doesn't have to be a Gravitics.
That's such a fun question. the first thing I have to say, I'm never going to pretend that it's me in this alone. You know, we all, like, I've worked with incredible teams, and my team is always a part of this. But there have been plenty of times where kind of the final confidence check came through with a live hot fire viewing of a rocket engine.
Yeah.
And, you know, the stakes are pretty high there. And, you know, you got your fingers crossed that the engine's not blowing up on you this time. You know, so there are things like that that come to mind. I will say I'll talk to Gravitics for just a moment, then maybe get to like a more fun conversation. We have had a lot of success with the customers we've had on the commercial side and the DoD side by demonstrating competency, but also being extremely transparent. Like, I will always be customer focused. We will always be genuine with the customer, and any customer is savvy. You know, beyond the ethics of it, like they'll sniff that right out.
Yeah.
So we gained trust early on in commercial markets and DoD side by being, you know, demonstrated experts with demonstrated performance, backing up, you know, doing what we say we'll do, but then also being very transparent on where all the bogeys lie.
And here are the things that we have to improve upon to actually make this work, and being transparent about it.
Yeah. And even telling them, if you sign with us, here's where you're signing up on risk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, those things all matter. I'm speaking in generalities right now. One of the fun ones for me personally was back at Virgin Orbit. We had done our first orbital test flight, and it failed a few seconds into powered flight. You know, the event I consider a success because we had gone through all of the operations workflow all the way through, you know, production, ship the product, load the propellants on the rocket, take off the runway, fly to your holding pattern, drop the rocket, ignite in free fall, pitch up, right? Like, so much good about it. But, you know, something failed and there's a lot to go learn. Our second mission, following up on just, you know, a few seconds of powered flight, was for NASA.
Okay.
Right? And so it was a NASA payload. And so we were working through failure investigation, corrective actions for the rocket, plenty to go learn and roll in. And then we were working a Delta qualification campaign for the propulsion system. And the way you do, you know, any of this when you have finite time, you work with the thing most likely to fail and test that and work your way down the list. So we'd gotten through most of the failure investigation and corrective actions. As we're getting into like flight readiness reviews with NASA, you know, knowing that there'd be some open work to go close out. But the punchline is about 7 days before our scheduled launch, we tested the very last component that needed to be tested, and it broke.
Oh, and it broke? No. 7 days before. So you didn't get much sleep that week?
No, not at all. But, you know, honestly, it was one of the most fun weeks I had at Virgin.
Yeah.
Because by that point, you know, I was leading a pretty large organization. Whether you like it or not, you're more involved in budget and schedule meetings. And, you know, I was still always involved in, you know, every last technical risk decision for a launch.
Yeah.
But by and large, the amazing team is doing all of that, you know. But here, you know, I was standing at the vibe table with the members of my team when it broke. This is now the most important thing we have to go do. I love when I have the opportunity to just get inserted into the most important thing, you know, at the time. Like, at the end of the day, sometimes firefighting is fun.
Yeah.
And so came up with a concept kind of right then and there, because we were watching the test, so we know what can change, right? You know, you have that good intuition. So sketched out something on a piece of paper, ran it to a designer. They whipped up drawings in, you know, the afternoon. We got the parts made. Then went into like a weekend project of kind of a design of experiments on some design changes and making the changes. Got it on the vibe table, passed the new qualification, set up kind of on the vibe table like a fake window representing the window access we'd have on the rocket, and made sure that we could actually go make this modification. You know,
get inside. And
the rocket was already mated to the plane on the runway for the launch campaign.
Okay.
So, longer story short, made all the design changes, got it implemented into the rocket, and then I personally was talking with NASA to tell them, hey, we know that the last mission failed. We know you're the customer on this mission. By the way, we broke something. Don't worry, here's why you should be fine with it. But, you know, going through those conversations to convince the customer, go fly with us, but also being honest about where that risk is, you know, that was actually a very fun experience for me. And the other part of it is, you know, being tied up in schedule meetings generally, you know, I had so much fun. I was literally running down the hallway of the factory at 2 a.m. on a Saturday night.
Wow.
To go get these parts. You know, I was running back and forth between the third shift, you know, machine shop and the vibe table and working this thing. And I had this moment where I was running and I realized, it was like a moment of self-awareness. I realized that I had this big grin on my face.
You're
like
loving it.
The most fun I'd been having at Virgin Orbit for like in the last year. Right? And that says something too of like, you know, I'm hyper-focused with this organization on no matter how big we get, and we strive to be small, not big, right?
Yeah.
But no matter how big we get, you know, meetings can never take over, you know, the real learning. And so everyone has to be tied into, like, reality, the actual work going on. Anyway, off the soapbox. So maybe one last fun element of that is... the reason we flew on time for that mission is because I was able to make it to McMaster Car will call pickup moments before they closed on Friday.
Been there, done that.
Otherwise, it would have waited till Monday, and the whole mission would have pushed.
McMaster Car, they're amazing.
Thank you, McMaster.
They're amazing.
It was a ton of fun.
All right, so we're getting close to the end here. I want to ask you a couple more questions, and then I'm going to let you in. We're going to get in between the buildings where the docks are.
Okay.
2 quick questions. What's the fastest you've ever been? And blank check, what vehicle would you go get?
Well, after today, I think this is
it.
Answer.
Good answer.
Fastest I've driven? Somewhere between 115 and 120.
Okay.
Respectable. No, it's not.
You could
it's not
probably
like eye water.
do that here.
Yeah. Probably.
This looks like a very good launch airstrip, actually, because we're gonna do this real quick. Oh man! You're a little taller than I am. Maybe you need to slide the seat back. How tall are you?
6'1".
6'1", people. He's got an inch.
I got a finger width.
Finger width? Yeah. That's enough for a Lambo.
This'll do.
This'll do. Oh, this is gonna be fun. We're on private property, for the record.
we need to go find a track.
Yeah. Come to Atlanta. I got the hookup. I took Commander Hadfield out on a private track.
You took who?
Commander Chris Hadfield.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh, and Jeff Thornburg. He was with me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It was actually his idea. All right. So, do you want to do automatic or paddle shift?
Well,
I think you should experience
both.
You should do a paddle. Yeah. So, shift up, shift down.
Okay.
And, brake gas.
Yep. And is there any room to raise this?
Yeah, you can move that. There you go. You might. All right, so put it into drive. Press the brake.
Okay.
And then pull back on the handle right here. Just this one. Yep. All right, so you're in first, and don't hit anything. It just goes straight. And do your thing. Okay. That's called short shifting. No, there was a blind corner. We didn't want to go too fast. Yeah. We got another side we'll check out. Yeah.
Oh, this is too fun.
Doesn't that shift is so hard and it's mean. You don't get that with electric cars. Yeah.
You don't get it with my Jeep either.
Yeah, they're both all-wheel drive.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities.
A lot of similarities. Yeah. They have tires. There's an engine. They're all-wheel drive. All right. Pop it back down into first.
Yeah.
And
let's see who's first to complain.
Oh my God! Yes! car. Oh my God, this thing is insane.
Oh, man. You know, I don't always accept podcasts, but when you call me and say, do you want to get in a Lamborghini?
Yeah. And not just any. This one's pretty special.
Oh,
It's good. We do need to flip around. I think either you or I have a meeting we gotta get to.
already.
Oh, all right. Well, I only say that because maybe we didn't quite do everything we needed in order for you to be in the seat.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay, let's just loop around here. There's kind of a long block here,
Okay,
but I
cool.
can get us turned around.
Yeah, that's glad we got you in the seat.
I'm in the driver's seat now, so I ask you questions. Is that how
Go
this
for
goes?
it. Yeah, go for it.
How did you get onto doing these podcasts? There's the obvious answer of, well, come on,
Duh.
I get my weekly car, but you're also a busy founder,
Yeah.
CEO. You got your own stuff to do.
So I have three. No, there's lots of rules, but three things I like to implement. I learned it. Actually, the husband of the lady who started Spanx, his name's Jesse, and his three rules: it's have fun, make money, have fun making money. This is what it's about. Like I want to do something fun, and I want to meet cool people that I might be able to do business with.
Okay.
And you know, we're talking to Gravitics about some things, and what better way to get to know somebody than like get the adrenaline pumping in a V10 Lamborghini.
I couldn't agree more.
I mean, this or a golf course, right? I'm gonna go this route all day.
Yeah, everything else is irrelevant now. Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers your question, but wanted to be unique and have fun.
Well, mission accomplished. Thanks for bringing me out of this.
Absolutely.
And now we go drive back to my house. And
I've been
we'll just
abducted.
in the garage.
I've been abducted.
Oh, there you go. Have you been visited by aliens?
No, haven't been visited by aliens. Heard some weird stories from some pilots, but not myself. But I do think we have been visited. I actually do think they've been here.
Okay.
Yeah.
What makes you say it?
I mean, the amount of really smart, respectable people that have their stories, it's like that. There's too many.
The credible people.
The credible.
Right? They're not actually the tinfoil.
Yeah, they're not tinfoil hat people. They're real, legitimate, 3-4 star people in the military. And you see so many pilots, and they're like, that we can't explain what that was.
Let me interrupt. Are there turn signals in this?
Yes, it's actually on the steering wheel. It's right here.
Oh, right there.
Yeah,
Nice.
you just go left or right.
Sorry, first Lamborghini.
Is there? Oh, it's your first one?
Yeah.
Okay. And be careful when there's like a steep driveway. We have to take it at an angle
Yeah.
because it is a low car.
Oh, this is just...
Oh, we're at Amazon. It has a really sharp turning radius.
Yeah.
I was impressed with that.
Oh, look at that view.
Oh, watch out. You're a little close over here.
Am I?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's a beautiful view. No, I mean, this is so much fun. So this will be, well, we had a little mishap with the Ferrari yesterday.
Yeah, why don't you talk about that?
I mean, it was finicky. I might have spent about 2 hours on the side of the 405 interstate last night waiting on a tow truck. And then all of my luggage and gear was locked inside the frunk. And once we got the car started...
You were saying?
Yeah, I got rudely interrupted. Couldn't get my gear out. Yeah, but I was up for 24 hours yesterday, and what better way to wake you up than this sound of V10 engine screaming? Yeah, it was fun. We had a McLaren 720, McLaren GT, Audi R8, Ferrari 488 GTB yesterday, and now the Lamborghini Huracán EVO.
Excellent.
Yeah. Like walked in the showroom last night and they're like, hey, just pick out whatever you want. And I was like, okay. It was great. They took care of me. Super nice.
Glad to hear all was right in the end.
All was right.
So who's up next for the podcast?
I'm headed to pick up Brandon Wales from the Fuse VC. So he'll be he'll be the first venture capitalist on the show.
Okay.
Do you have anybody you would recommend to come up next?
There's a long list. I think you'd have a lot of fun with the guys from Astroforge.
Oh, okay, all right. You were not the first person to say that.
Yeah, that's a good team too. Matt and Robin are both colleagues and friends.
Cool.
I've known them for a long time. You'd have fun with them.
Awesome. I'll have to set that up. Who else?
Well, I understand you already had Jeff in. He's doing cool stuff here too.
And had Prashant yesterday on an upcoming episode from Portal Space Systems.
Have you talked with the guys from Varda yet? You should bring.
We have not done that. Yes, that is on the books to do.
Okay.
Varda is on the list.
Will's a good guy too. He's smart.
Billy from Regent, so not necessarily space, but Regent Aircraft. I want to do the pod inside their seaplane. So no car, we're going to do it in the plane. I'm hoping we can do that.
That's starting to bring some ideas here. You need to do a V2 of this podcast, and I'll gladly join you for it. You need to do it on a zero-G flight.
I've never been.
Neither have I.
Can we do that?
Let's do it.
How much are they?
Probably more than renting this car.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
We'll work out the details.
Yes, full burn in a zero-G flight would be amazing. We'll step it up.
Let's do it.
Well, I appreciate it. And I've had a lot of fun. It's a miles per gallon is the ISP on this car.
Smiles.
Did I say that right?
Yeah.
The miles per gallon is the ISP on this car.
Yeah. I think I've been doing some giggling on this drive.
Well, I appreciate it, Scott. I would grab your hand and shake it, but you're driving, so.
Well, thanks a lot thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I say this with a big grin while driving a Lambo. Anytime.
Anytime, literally anytime. Just let me know.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's been so much fun. And don't go too close.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna mess around with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Park. Scott, appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
It's been awesome.
Yeah.
This has been Full Burn. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye.